You're listening to Keith Sports News. What's up, sports fans? Welcome to KSN. Episode 30. No, not 30. I don't know why I said 30. I meant to say 69! 69! Yeah, why do people say 69 like that? We need a team called the 69ers! Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, this episode will not be 2 hours, just like the last two episodes. And I'm glad it's not going to be 2 hours because I don't really have the time to do a 2-hour episode. And I'm sure some people are happy about that. I mean, I get it. 2 hours, you know, if you spend 2 hours of your time listening to either the last episode or the episode before that, or both, then thank y'all very much. That means you enjoyed listening to me talk about sports. And this episode won't even be an hour. Yeah, I say that because, first of all, I just got done not too long ago watching SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, and I'm on the Canadian SportsCenter show, TSN, and less than an hour, SportsCenter with Jay Onright will come on. So I want to watch that as well. I mainly watch the Canadian SportsCenter instead of the American SportsCenter. Pretty much the only time I watch the American SportsCenter is whenever Scott Van Pelt is on. And if I want to watch his show. And I did. I watched his show on big sports nights like last night, Thursday night. Mainly because the NFL season has begun. And I listen to a lot of sports podcasts. And I bet you the sports podcasts that talk about more than one sport, okay, I'm talking shows like, you know, the Sirius XM shows. Yeah, I'm not talking about the sports podcasts that talk about one particular sport. All right, like this podcast. I don't talk about the same sport. I talk about more than one sport. I usually do. All right. But what I'm trying to say is that I bet you the sports podcasts that talk about different sports in general, I bet you they're all going to talk about the NFL game first instead of the U.S. Open tennis. But not me. Nope. I'm not going to talk about the NFL Thursday night game first because I don't have to. I'm talking about, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the United States Open tennis tournament because that is more important. It is. It really is. To me, it is. You know, I get it. I know. It's unfortunate that United States Open tennis tournament is going to conclude right after or during college football's week 2 and the NFL's week 1. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And if you like watching these Grand Slam tournaments like me, then that means you should do the same, you know. Unless if you want to watch both at the same time, which, you know, a lot of people can do that now, which is great. So, I did not watch the Thursday night game. I didn't watch it. Even though I could have put it on a second TV, I didn't want to. I was more focused on the U.S. Open. I was. Because that was more important. Plus, I didn't care much about that Thursday night game. I know it's a big matchup, a division rivalry. I get it. But I did watch. Again, I mentioned I watched SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, so he recapped the game. So I know a little bit about that game. So I'll give you my thoughts on that a little later, as well as my NFL season predictions, because people have gave their predictions on which teams will win the division and which teams will go to the Super Bowl and which team will win Super Bowl 60. All right? Okay. So, we're going to talk about the United States Open. All right? Before I talk about, so last night was the women's semifinals. Before I get to that, I'm going to talk about what happened the past couple of nights. All right, let's start off with the men's singles. Actually, no, we'll do the women's singles. Ladies first. So I came back on Tuesday, right? Even though it was only 3 days ago. So apparently back on Tuesday, this was the quarterfinal matches for the women's singles. Apparently, Marketa Vondrousova was unable to compete in her match against the number one seeded player, Aryna Sabalenka. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Something unusual, especially when you go deep into the tournament. I'm not sure why what happened. I don't know what kind of injury she got, but that's all I knew. So then, earlier that day, Jessica Pegula, the number 4 seeded player, defeated Barbora Krejcikova in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3. Unfortunately, I was unable to watch that match because that match happened during the daytime. Okay, so that was on Tuesday. Wednesday, more quarterfinals. The first one was a Wimbledon final rematch between Amanda Anisimova, the number 8 seed, against number 2 seed Iga Swiatek. Yeah, they had a rematch, and I was really hoping this match would be at prime time, because to me, this was a bigger matchup in my opinion. I don't know how they determine which matches are during the day and which matches are at night in the evening, but yeah. Yeah, quarterfinal. These two players, they met not too long ago at that Wimbledon final, and of course we know what happened. Iga won. Double bagel, as they would say, you know, that match. That's what they call it. And wasn't really sure who was gonna win this match. I mean, obviously we knew this match would be much better than that Wimbledon final, and it was. My pick was Iga to win the U.S. Open. I did. And my pick got eliminated. She lost. Amanda won 6-4, 6-3 in straight sets. I was kind of surprised. And I remember I listened to these players' press conferences on their U.S. Open's YouTube channel. And they were asking Iga if some guy asked her if she needs like a mental break. And it got kind of awkward after that. And then she asked him, "Do you need a mental break?" Okay. Yeah. So I wish that match was at night. I would have watched it. See, I don't have YouTube TV anymore. I can't record stuff. I don't have ESPN Plus. I don't have the new ESPN app. I don't feel like getting that right now. I might get it. I might get it at some point. I wonder if I get the new ESPN app, do I get a free trial? If so, how long is the free trial? Is it a week? A month? I know you have to pay like $30 a month. And man, I've read a lot of comments. People are still unhappy about that. That you have to pay that much. Okay, I have to type something in on my Google document. Something that just popped into my head. Yeah, I have a Google document of a list of things to write on what to talk about. Okay. There is quite a lot to talk about, but I don't want to spend too much time. Because I don't have much time. I mean, technically, I have some time, but I don't want to spend 2 hours again. I have something else to do after I'm done with this episode. And I did, so, all right. So, the primetime match on Wednesday was the other quarterfinal match between Karolina Mukova, the number 11 seed who went to 2 semifinals at the U.S. Open last year and the year before, and I predicted her to go to the semifinals again. She took on Naomi Osaka, number 23 seed. Okay, I watched that match. I wasn't really cheering for a specific player. I do like both players. I was hoping this would go to 3 sets, but it went to 2. It was 2 close sets, though. And Naomi Osaka won 6-4, 7-6, tiebreaker 7-3. And yeah, Naomi Osaka, the big story on the women's side, after she became a mother. Yes, she's a mother. I think her child is 2 years old, I think. So, recent years, she hasn't been as great, but now she's great. She's back, okay? She won the U.S. Open twice, in 2018 and in 2020, the COVID year. She also won the Australian Open 2 times in 2019. I remember watching that match. She against Petra Kvitova, who is now retired, and in 2021. So yeah, it's been over 4 years, over 4.5 years since her last Grand Slam win and her last Grand Slam appearance. She's never lost a Grand Slam final. Okay? So, good for her for reaching the semifinals. And last night was the women's singles semifinals, and I was able to watch both matches because both matches occurred during the evening. Yeah, I know it's unfortunate that it happened during the first NFL regular season game. It is what it is. I mean, it's like this every year, at least when I started watching tennis. So, yeah. I had to watch both because this was more important. First semifinal match was number 1 seed Aryna Sabalenka against number 4 seed Jessica Pegula. And the second semifinal match was number 23 seed Naomi Osaka against number 8 seed Amanda Anisimova. When I found out that these were the final 4, I said to myself, any of these 4 players can win the U.S. Open. And we had 2 Americans. And for me, I was hoping to see an All-American final. I mean, that would be great. An All-American final at the United States Open. Yeah. So, let's talk about these matches. Both matches were fantastic. Both matches were fantastic. The first match was Sabalenka against Pegula. I usually root against Sabalenka because she's like the loudest player ever. She screams so much. That's her thing. She reminds me of Maria Sharapova. I remember watching Maria Sharapova's final few seasons before she retired in 2020. It was right before COVID. Yeah. Her last Grand Slam appearance was the Australian Open, I believe, in 2020. But she's loud. She's also a loud player. Can you imagine Sabalenka against Sharapova? The two loudest players probably ever. People are going to be like, yep, I'm muting the TV. I'm muting the TV. I probably would too. Yeah. And Maria just got inducted into the Tennis Hall of Fame. I don't know if you have to be retired 5 years until you get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think it's like that in the NFL Hall of Fame and the MLB's Hall of Fame. So, this first match, the commentators were Cliff Drysdale, who just retired, by the way. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about Cliff Drysdale first. Yes. For those of you that know about this, Cliff Drysdale, a long-time tennis commentator. And he's also the longest active ESPN commentator. Yeah, he joined ESPN in 1979. And 1979 is the first year where ESPN was launched. That's amazing. That long ago. Wow. So, all right, you know what? I take that back. Earlier, I said at the beginning that this episode will be under an hour. Well, I take that back. This might be over an hour. It's 2 a.m. right now as I speak. So, the reason why I say that this episode will be under an hour is because I'm waiting for a Sports Center with Jay Onright to come on. Jay Onright is on the TSN version, the Canadian version, and he's on right now. But his show would be on loop. Okay? His show will be on loop all night long. So I can wait until 3 a.m., even though 3 a.m. I'll be pretty tired by then. So I got to make sure that this episode, I've been recording for 18 minutes. I've got to keep this under an hour and 20 minutes at the most. Okay? Which I don't want that episode to be that long anyways, but it probably will be. Remember I said in the last episode that this episode won't be 2 hours, and it turns out it was more than 2 hours. I can't make any promises, but you guys know how long these episodes are by the time I release these. Alright, so back to Cliff Drysdale, yes. Who doesn't like hearing this man's voice? Yeah, I remember him when I started watching tennis back in 2017 or so. I looked him up. It's hard to believe how old he is. He's in his 80s. He doesn't look like he's that old. He sounds great. A former player from South Africa, Cliff Drysdale's an old player from the old days, you know. Recent years, whenever I hear his voice, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's still commentating. Yeah. And the time has finally come. He's officially retired. He called his last match, which was the Sabalenka-Pegula first semifinal match. And the other day, they did a tribute to him. And yeah, it's always sad when a great legendary TV announcer retires. First, Lee Corso, now Cliff Drysdale, man. I know. So, yeah. I wonder how many matches he called. That's insane, because he, decades after decades. And here's the thing. All of the ESPN announcers for the U.S. Open, they gave their thoughts on Cliff Drysdale. Everyone was there, including Chris Fowler. Everyone was there except for John McEnroe. Why wasn't John McEnroe there? I like John McEnroe, but why wasn't he there? Everyone else was there. His brother Patrick McEnroe was there. You know? Chrissy Everett was there. Oh yeah, they also did a 50th anniversary when she won the 1975 U.S. Open. So that was cool. That was touching. Mary Jo Fernandez. Yeah, those two. They called a lot of matches with Cliff Drysdale. Pam Shriver was there. Jason Goodall was there. Darren Cahill, who is the coach of Jannik Sinner, he was there. James Blake was there. Pam Shriver as well. So why wasn't John McEnroe there? I'm gonna have to listen to Holding Court. Well, I will listen to Holding Court with Patrick McEnroe on Saturday. And I wonder if anyone will call into that show and ask that question. I'm sure someone will. Yeah. So, Cliff Drysdale is a legend, man. Very familiar voice. Yeah, I'm gonna miss calling his matches, man. Yeah, just like I'm gonna miss Lee Corso put on the headgear. Yeah. So, and again, he looked great for his age. You know, he still looks like he can commentate more matches. So, yeah, 1979. That's over. Holy crap! That's 46 years. And I'm glad I saw that tribute video. Yes, thank you to ESPN for posting that on their YouTube channel. I saw it, and I watched that video, and it was very nice on what they did. And I heard that he called his final match semifinal. So after I found that out, I'm like, oh, well, I'll definitely watch that match to hear his voice one last time on the call. I did the same thing to last year's World Series with, what's his name? John Sterling. Yes. Longtime Yankees radio announcer, retired after last year's World Series. Since I have Sirius XM, I said to myself, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna listen to the World Series on radio. The entire World Series on radio. I went old school. I did, because I wanted to hear John Sterling's voice one last time. And I was glad that the Yankees were in that World Series, just so I can hear his voice, even though the Yankees didn't do well in that World Series. Yeah. Yeah, man. A lot of these announcers, I try to hear their last rodeo. You know, I kind of did the same thing. Vern Lundquist at the Masters of last year, even though I'm not a golf fan, but I've always liked Vern Lundquist. I really liked Vern when he was the voice of the SEC on CBS. The good old days of CBS Sports, in my opinion. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Gary Danielson, his former partner, will be retiring after this season. Yeah, he calls Big Ten games on CBS. And I got to be honest, when CBS lost the rights to having SEC games, that's when I said to myself, okay, maybe this is when Gary Danielson retires. No. Last year, CBS got the rights to Big Ten football, and he was the announcer, and he's calling games this year. I assume he's still with Brad Nessler. Brad Nessler used to be on ESPN. I liked him more on there. Yeah. So, yeah, man. It's always sad when a legend retires, you know. So now we can talk about this first semifinal match. Let me just say this. Cliff Drysdale, his last match was a fantastic match, and I'm glad his last match was a great one. So it was Aryna Sabalenka against Jessica Pegula, and I was rooting for Pegula, mainly because, you know, she's American, and I usually root against Sabalenka because she's so loud. I know, but we get used to it. And, you know, Pegula was in last year's U.S. Open final against Sabalenka. This was a rematch of last year's final, except this match was a lot better. This match was a lot better. Okay? So, Pegula, this match came on at, I think it started at 6:20 p.m. Central. So I made sure to be home right when ESPN came on the air, or right before the match came on there. When I tuned in, that was when the players walked on the court, so good thing I didn't miss that. And, yeah, Cliff Drysdale called his last match along with Mary Jo Fernandez. It's a great match, too. Yeah. The crowd was mainly rooting for Pegula because she's the American. And by the way, for those of you that don't know or somehow don't know, her parents own both the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, she's the daughter of the owners of those teams. Can you believe that? That is one hell of a rich family. Yeah. So, this match was great. She won the first set. It's a tight first set. She was down. She was losing the first set. Then she came back and she won the first set 6-4. Okay. But then I expected Sabalenka to win the second set, and she did 6-3. And then, you know, the third set can be anyone's match. And it was a tight set. Sabalenka was winning, and then Pegula tried to come back, but Sabalenka was able to finish it, and she won. Last set, final set was 6-4. Sabalenka back into the U.S. Open final again, back at another Grand Slam final this year, even though she hasn't won a major this year, but she probably will win it this year. Yeah. Which means I'm going to be rooting against her again in the final. I don't think I ever cheered for her in the final or in the semifinals. Yeah, I normally don't cheer for her. It was a great match. It was over 2 hours, and then, you know, they said goodbye to Cliff Drysdale. Then Patrick McEnroe and Chrissy Everett came on the booth because they called the second match, the second semifinal match, which I didn't thought would be as good as the first one. Boy, I was wrong. The second semifinal match was better because it was longer, a lot longer. Oh, man. This match started at like nearly 10 p.m. Eastern Time in New York, almost 9 p.m. my time. And I know people have a problem with that, matches starting late, Matches ending late, I understand. It is what it is. The thing is, the reason why the second match started late was because the first match was over 2 hours, and they had to wait for that match to end because both matches were at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That's what they do at these Grand Slam events. When it comes to the quarterfinals, all the matches will be at the main court, which at this U.S. Open, it's Arthur Ashe Stadium. Okay? You know what? I remember a couple years ago, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, had a wrestling event at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That was cool. Arthur Ashe Stadium's a big, big tennis venue. It's shaped like an octagon. If you look at the interior, the seat section, it's shaped like an octagon. Yeah. So this match, Naomi Osaka against Amanda Anisimova. They only met twice before this semifinal match. Their last meeting was a couple of years ago, and Amanda won both times. And I predicted Naomi to win this match. Yeah, I did predict Naomi to win this match. After Iga got eliminated, I had a feeling that Naomi might win the U.S. Open Final Championship. I think a lot of people felt the same too. Because when Naomi is on a roll, she's on a roll and she is unbeatable. But the big question was, how will Amanda play after she beat Iga? Yeah. So, man, I wish this semifinal match was the final. I wish it was the final. And I think you probably heard me say that at one of the Wimbledon's semifinal matches. Sometimes I say to myself, at a Grand Slam semifinal match, I'm like, damn, I wish that was the final. Because a lot of times, when you see a good, fantastic semifinal match, usually the finals isn't as good of a match. So this match was, great. I wanted Amanda to win because I've always liked her. I remember when she was on a roll a couple years ago before she took her mental health break. I remember her from 2019. Yeah, when she was only 17. She's the same age as me. She just turned 24. She's about 3.5 months younger than me, so when I looked her up, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the first athlete that I'm watching that's younger than me at the time. And now it's crazy. There's more athletes that I'm watching that are younger than me. We got NFL quarterbacks that are younger than me. Can you believe that? That makes me feel old. Hey, you still got Novak Djokovic at the age of 38. I'll talk about him a little later. So, yeah, this match was fantastic. Naomi Osaka was wearing purple. Her outfit was purple, like sparkles. You see her headphones? She got those fancy-ass headphones on when she walked out on the court. And Amanda, she got those bright red shoes on. Yeah. Uh-huh. So, yeah, they got the outfits on. Some players, I remember some players, they would wear like the same outfits. And it's usually like a Nike outfit. These two were wearing Nike outfits, but they weren't the same exact outfit, so yeah. Anyways, this match was tight. The very first set was tight. And Osaka, she won that set 7-6, tiebreaker 7-4, okay? after that set, I'm like, how can Amanda bounce back after that? And I thought the second set would be one-sided. I had a feeling maybe Osaka would win this in straight sets. But no! Anisimova won the second set, and a tight one as well. 7-6, tiebreaker, 7-3. And I'm like, uh-oh. We're going to a third set. This ought to be good. Yeah. It's hard to put in the words, you know. And I watched this full match from start to finish. And the crowd, you think the crowd would be rooting more for Amanda because she's American, but no, the crowd was like half and half. It's about even, believe it or not, because everyone likes Naomi Osaka. Yeah. This match, man. And the roof was closed. Thankfully, the roof was closed because it was raining. It was raining in New York. So, yeah, back then there wasn't a roof in the old days. Final set. I thought Osaka would win. I thought she would win. But no. Amanda Anisimova proved me wrong, and probably everyone else as well. She won the third and final set 6-3. Nearly 3 hours. The match ended at almost 1 a.m. New York time. Wow. I got to give a round of applause for both players. And Jessica Pegula as well. And Aryna Sabalenka. Yes, all 4 players played excellent tennis. Both semifinal matches were fantastic. I don't remember watching both semifinal Grand Slams where both matches were fantastic. I don't recall that. This was amazing. Both matches felt like a final. So now, the women's final is set, which is a rematch from the Wimbledon semifinals. Aryna Sabalenka against Amanda Anisimova in the finals. And I will give you my prediction. Okay? This match will be in the afternoon, which is kind of unfortunate because it's during college football Saturday. They always do this. I don't know. I really wish the U.S. Open was a week or two earlier so they don't have to compete. They don't have to worry about college football much, and especially the National Football League. But hey, if you're a big tennis fan, that's not going to matter much to you, but there's probably big tennis fans out there that also watch the NFL. I'm just saying. So, this match, it's kind of weird that the semifinal matches are prime time, but not the finals. The finals isn't prime time. It's during the afternoon. Okay, then. It's going to come on, I think, at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. After the first college football game on ESPN, whatever that game is. Okay, that's when the women's singles final will come on. And I will watch that match. I will try to watch that match. I will definitely watch at least the first half of the match. I don't think this final will be as good as both semifinal matches, but who knows? They might prove me wrong again. The question is, will Amanda Anisimova run out of gas again? I hope not. I really hope she doesn't, I hate to think negative, but I hope she doesn't lose this final 6-love again. If she does, oh my gosh, that'll be the saddest story. I don't think so. She's not going to lose 6-love. The crowd will be rooting for her. The crowd will be rooting for her more because she's an American. They will. If Osaka was in the final, they will be rooting for her more too. Yeah. I think the fans, they find Sabalenka obnoxious because of her screams on court. Yeah, you don't hear the other players scream. Jessica Pegula, Naomi Osaka, Amanda Anisimova, they hardly scream. Maybe once in a while. But no, Sabalenka, she's so loud. So, yeah. By the way, I haven't heard their press conferences yet. I'm going to listen to them later today, okay? So, Sabalenka's the favorite. She's number one for a reason. She won last year's U.S. Open. She didn't win any Grand Slams this year. She was in two other major finals, the Australian Open and the French Open, and I thought she would win both of those. Yeah, and I was rooting against her because she was facing American players. Madison Keys, she won the Australian Open, and Coco Gauff, she won the French Open. And here's the thing. We have an American female in the finals in all 4 Grand Slams. When's the last time that happened? Serena Williams? Yeah, I think there was a year where Serena was in all 4 Grand Slam finals in the same year. Yeah, so the question is, will Aryna Sabalenka win a Grand Slam in 2025 by winning the U.S. Open back-to-back years? Or will Amanda Anisimova prove me wrong again by finally winning a Grand Slam title? By the way, I almost forgot. They said on ESPN, Amanda is the first woman to lose a Grand Slam final 6-love, and go to the next Grand Slam finals. That's never happened before. I will be rooting for her. Just like I did in the Wimbledon final. I just got a feeling that Sabalenka is going to win this U.S. Open. Even though I picked her to win the Australian Open and the French Open against the Americans, and I'm going to be picking her again against the American. But I will be rooting against her again. So I just hope Amanda doesn't run out of gas again like she did in the Wimbledon final. I hope not. I don't think she'll get crushed like that again in the final because the crowd will be rooting for her. I don't know. She might prove me wrong again. We'll see. I'm going with Sabalenka. I don't know if it'll be in straight sets or 3 sets. But it'll be interesting. I don't know if the match goes on long. If it goes on long, like these semifinal matches, I might not. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Let me say that again. If the finals match will be a long one, just like the semifinals, I'm probably going to miss the end of the match because Saturday at 5 o'clock, there are people coming over here. Yes, visitors will be coming over here at 5 o'clock. We're having a little party. But I will have the match on TV, but I probably not going to pay attention to it much because, I want to, hang out with the people and talk with them and stuff. So I'll be cheering for Amanda, but I'm hoping it's straight sets if Amanda wins. So that way I can watch the full match. But if it goes on for over 2 hours or so, probably going to miss the end. But if I miss the end and get spoiled, oh well. So, yeah. All right. Oh, my question is, will Chris Fowler call that match? I hope so. I think he will. I think he will. I mean, I know he's also a college football announcer, the voice of college football on ESPN. He was at last year's women's final, but the year before, he wasn't there. He wasn't at the 2023 U.S. Open women's singles final. He wasn't there because he was at the Texas-Alabama game. Yeah. For whatever reason, ESPN wanted him to do that game instead of the U.S. Open women's singles final. And that was the year Coco Gauff won that final. Oh yeah, and I think that was against Aryna Sabalenka as well. Sabalenka's in 3 consecutive U.S. Open finals. That's amazing. Now, the big college football game is on ABC is Michigan against Oklahoma. That is a big matchup. It's a Big Ten team against an SEC team. He might be at that game. Let me see. I don't know what was the Saturday night ABC game on from last year's week 2? I want to see if I can look that up. College football 2024 schedule. Week 2. What was the ABC game that evening? I think I know. What was the ABC game? Because I'm confident Chris Fowler did call that women's singles final last year. But I know for sure he wasn't at last year's. You know who was at last year's? Cliff Drysdale. Cliff Drysdale was the announcer for the 2023 women's singles final. You know what? I wish, to be honest, listen, I like Chris Fowler. I've always liked Chris Fowler. In my opinion, Cliff Drysdale should call the women's final. I mean, that would be a great way to retire, right? I think most of you guys would agree with me on that. I think Cliff Drysdale should call the women's final like he did in 2023. So here's the big question. Okay, wait. What was the ABC game last year's week 2? It's got to be SEC on. It's an SEC team. No, it wasn't Texas, Michigan. That game was on Fox. That was the big noon kickoff. South Carolina against Kentucky. I don't think that was the night game. I think that was the afternoon game on ABC. I'm still scrolling. No, it wasn't. Wait, was it South Florida against Alabama? I think it was that one. And I don't think Chris Fowler called that game. Yeah, it was that game. That was the primetime game. Okay, so Chris Fowler did call last year's women's singles final. But now here's the big question. if Chris Fowler is going to be the announcer for the Michigan-Oklahoma game, who's going to call the women's singles final now that Cliff Drysdale's retired? Is it going to be Patrick McEnroe? I guess it will be him. Who else would it be? But I now that Cliff Drysdale's retired, I hope Chris Fowler will be at the women's singles final. But at the same time, in my opinion, I think Cliff Drysdale should call that women's singles final to end his legendary career. I think most of you guys would agree with me on that. We'll see. We'll see, but now that I'm thinking about it, Chris Fowler might not be at the U.S. Open singles final. Michigan versus Oklahoma, that is a big matchup. Sounds like a bowl game, too. All right. Now I'm going to go to the men's match. Wow, I've been recording for over 50 minutes. I got to make sure that this episode will not be longer than an hour and 20 minutes. So I have about 29 minutes left of talking. So I better pick up the pace here. All right, so the men's singles. Tuesday, Carlos Alcaraz was in action. I didn't watch that match because I knew he would win. That match was during the day. The match at night I did watch. Number 7 seed Novak Djokovic against number 4 seed Taylor Fritz. Here's the thing about this match. I wasn't sure who was going to win this match. At the time, Taylor Fritz lost every time he faced Novak, which was a total of 10 times, which is crazy. And I said to myself, you know what, maybe Taylor will finally beat him. I wish this was the final because I like both players. I do. The crowd was rooting more for Taylor, but, you know, they also like Novak. There was a time in the match, I forget which set this was on because this was over 2 nights ago. There was a time where the crowd was being kind of weird. The crowd wouldn't shut up. You know how when the player's about to serve the ball, the crowd has to be quiet? And you hear the chair umpire say, please, ladies and gentlemen, the players are ready. Please, quiet, please. And I know. I think the crowd is drunk. I get it. It's New York. What do you expect? And then when Novak double fault, the crowd was cheering. I'm like, wow, that's kind of disrespectful. But hey, the New York crowd, I think it's the wildest crowd. However, I'd say the Australian Open crowd is just as wild as the New York crowd. So this match, I wasn't sure who was going to win. Both players were dressed in all black. All black from top to bottom. Hey, everyone looks good in black. So, part of me wanted Taylor to win because he's an American. But part of me also wanted Novak to win because he's looking to win, to go for his 25th Grand Slam, the greatest, the best player ever. And this match was a good match. Novak won the first set 6-3. He won the second set 7-5. So after that, I'm like, I don't think Taylor's going to come back. But he won the third set 6-3. And Novak won the fourth set 6-4 to win the match. So now Taylor's what? 0-11 against Novak? Wow. And you know what that means? We'll get to see Novak Djokovic against Carlos Alcaraz in the semifinals. Now let's get to Wednesday's matches. Unfortunately, this match was during the day. I was hoping to see this match during prime time. Number 25 seed Felix Auger-Aliassime against number 8 seed Alex de Minaur. Now, since I have the TSN channels, they talk about the Canadian players. I was hoping this match would be at night. The other match was Jannik Sinner against Lorenzo Musetti, who is the number 10 seed, an all-Italian match. Let's talk about that match first. Jannik Sinner won straight sets. 6-1, 6-4, 6-2. I knew he would win in straight sets. Yeah. An all-Italian match. I get why that's the primetime match. Jannik Sinner's the number 1 player. I understand that. But to me, and I think most of you guys would agree, before these matches occurred, the other quarterfinal match would be the better match to watch. Because that match, I wasn't sure who was going to win that match. This match was a great one, even though I missed it because it was during the daytime. I was rooting for Felix. I was rooting for Felix because he's Canadian, and I get the TSN channels. I like Alex de Minaur as well. He's actually dating another tennis player. Her name is Katie Boulter from Great Britain. And you know what's interesting? They're both about the same height. Yeah, you don't see that often because a lot of times the male is taller than the female, but these two, they're about the same height. So that's cool. So, yeah. Alex won the first set 6-4. Felix won the second set 7-6, tiebreaker 9-7. Felix also won the third set 7-5, and he also won the fourth set 7-6, tiebreaker 7-4. Felix won. In a big match, he will be going to the semifinals, first time since 2021. Wow, he's on a roll. Just like Naomi Osaka. But we got to talk about the semifinals now because that's going to happen today. The first semifinal match at 2 p.m. Central. We get number 7 seed Novak Djokovic against number 2 seed Carlos Alcaraz. To me, that's the bigger matchup. And I'm not disrespecting Jannik Sinner. Sinner is clearly the best player. And Carlos is clearly the second best player. Their ranking says it. I wish the Novak-Carlos match was at night. Because I'm gonna miss some of this match. I'm hoping this. Well, okay, all right. Oh my goodness. All right, let's talk about the first semifinal match. It's going to be during the daytime. To me, this is a primetime match. It should be primetime. And I understand why this match isn't primetime, because Jannik Sinner played on Wednesday and Novak and Carlos played on Tuesday. So they get 2 days off. Jannik gets 1 day off. And you know what? Novak deserves 2 days off because of his age. But the problem is that Carlos also gets 2 days off. So how will that affect him? Okay? So the last time these two met was it this year's Australian Open? I think it was. Was it this year's Australian Open? And if it was during the quarterfinals. And it was, yeah. Their last meeting, Novak won. He beat Carlos in the quarterfinals, and I was surprised. Yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised as well. And before that, it was the fantastic gold medal match at last year's Olympics. I was really happy that Novak finally won the Olympic gold medal in his career. Yeah. But listen, I thought Carlos would win. Just like the Australian Open quarterfinal match against Novak. Carlos beat Novak twice at Wimbledon. So, this is going to be a big match. I think this match will be pretty good. I think it will be great. I will be rooting for Novak. I will be rooting for Novak. I want him to win Grand Slam number 25. One more Grand Slam. And this is his chance to do it. This is his chance to do it. The fact that he went to the semifinals in all 4 Grand Slams this year is extremely impressive. At the age of 38. Holy crap. It's not like he's losing early. No, he goes far deep into the tournament. Amazing, right? So, I'm going to root for him against Carlos Alcaraz. Yeah, his new look. He actually looks good in purple with that shaved cut. But I think Carlos is going to win. He's looking unbelievable. I think he's going to win in 4 sets. I have Carlitos going to the final. And the second semifinal match, the primetime match, is number 1 seeded player Jannik Sinner against number 25 seeded player Felix Auger-Aliassime. I'm going to be rooting for Felix. But I think Jannik is going to win in straight sets. But I will watch this match. Yeah. So that means I have another final rematch between the 2 best players, Jannik Sinner against Carlos Alcaraz. Who do I have winning the U.S. Open? So at Wimbledon, let's go back to the French Open when these 2 met at the finals. I picked Sinner to win. I thought he would win, but it turned out to be probably the greatest French Open final ever. Carlitos won that match. Then they had a rematch at the Wimbledon a couple of weeks later, and I picked Jannik Sinner to win again to get revenge. Jannik Sinner won the U.S. Open last year. Did he win it the year before? I think he did. Carlos, he won it in 2022. And man, that was when I first discovered him. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Who is this player that came out of nowhere and he wins the U.S. Open? So if these 2 meet again, I will watch this match. Even though this match will be on NFL Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. during NFL Sunday, the first NFL Sunday of the season. It is what it is. Why isn't this match at night? There's no Sunday Night Baseball. Because if y'all remember, I looked at the schedule about a week ago or so to see what that Sunday Night Baseball game will be. There isn't one. So ESPN must be showing something else. But there's also a huge Sunday Night Football game, and I probably will watch that. See, this is the problem. They can't compete with the NFL, you know? I was listening to Christopher Mad Dog Russo's show throughout this week, and he was talking about this. He likes to criticize the schedule like me, and you know, I agree with him. He's like, you having your finals during week 1 of the National Football League? It's ludicrous, you know? That's basically what he said. Do you want people to watch your finals? Don't have it during NFL Sunday. You know? Have it on, it's better if they were to have it on College Football Saturday. And that's true because more people watch NFL than college football. Even though there's more college football games than NFL games, but week 2 of college football is usually full of blowout games. Because this is before we get into the conference games, okay? A lot of the big teams will play against the little teams. Okay, so that usually games like that would be blowouts, all right? But again, US Open, it should have ended last weekend or the weekend before. I think more people would watch it if it ended a week or 2 ago, but probably nope. But hey, I'm going to watch it. I'm not a huge NFL fan. Not a big NFL fan anyways. Okay? So, I have to watch this. I've been watching this all week. Okay? I'm going to watch it live instead of getting spoiled. And I can't record it anyways. And I don't think ESPN's going to show it as a replay. Maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe ESPN2 will show a replay of the final. Maybe. I don't know. But whoever's in the final, I will be looking forward to it. I'm actually hoping for a Novak Felix final. That is probably going to be the most unexpected final. But if that's the final, that would be great for TSN because, got a Canadian in the final. But no, I think we're going to have another final rematch. And if we do, I'm all in. I'm all in. But I want to see Novak make history. Most likely, Jannik Sinner's going to win his semifinal match. Imagine this. 38-year-old Novak beats both Carlos and Jannik to win the US Open. If that happens, that's the story of the year. Maybe the story of the century in sports, in my opinion. Yeah, it's amazing. So, when I come home on Friday, I'll tune into their match, the first semifinal match, if it's still going. I think it will be. Maybe not, though. I don't know. We'll see. Which means I'm going to get spoiled. Oh, well, it is what it is. The reason why they can't have both matches on primetime is because it's best of 5 sets, and, both matches can be over 3 hours. Okay. So, if Chris Fowler's going to call that college football game in Oklahoma, that means he's going to fly all the way back to New York, and he's going to call that men's singles final. He usually does with the McEnroe brothers. It's amazing. Chris Fowler, the MVP of ESPN. Oh, you know who else is? Katie George, the sideline, the reporter. Yeah. The primetime ESPN interviewer. She's usually at one of the SEC on ABC games Saturday afternoon with Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer. Yeah, I think that game is Ole Miss against Kentucky. I guess she's going to be at that game. Yeah. And of course, Kirk Herbstreit, the MVP of football commentator. We'll see him on game day in the morning. And then he calls that game in Oklahoma against Michigan. Then he'll go to next Thursday night's NFL game with Al Michaels. Oh my gosh, that guy, he flies a lot. He's a football junkie. Yep. Hey, speaking of football junkie, I'm probably going to turn into a football junkie, mainly on Saturdays, because Saturday is not only college football Saturday, but we also got CFL games. Okay, most likely this episode will be over an hour and 20 minutes, but luckily I have the option to pause my recording on OBS. All right, I still don't want it to be 2 hours. Okay, so let's talk about the NFL. The season has begun. It was the Dallas Cowboys without Micah Parsons against the Philadelphia Eagles, a rivalry game. First of all, why I look at it like this. Why is Dallas in the NFC East? And I understand why they're in it. Because back in the old days, Cowboys versus Giants was a big rivalry. It still is, but both teams are going to suck this year, I think. I don't understand that. Dallas Cowboys should be in the NFC South with the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And have the Carolina Panthers in the NFC East. That would make more sense. Geographically wise, that would make more sense. Anyways, I didn't watch this game. This game wasn't exciting to me. I mean, I wasn't looking forward to it. I was looking forward to the U.S. Open women's semifinals, like I said. So, because that was more important. This Thursday night game, I didn't really care. But I made sure to tune in to Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt, of him recapping the game. Apparently, an Eagles player got ejected right when the game started for spitting on Dak Prescott. That was crazy. Okay, then. What a way to begin the 2025 NFL season. My father was watching the game. Yeah. Somehow this game was close. They had like a lightning delay for like over an hour. Yeah, which is kind of rare for a pro football game, lightning delay. Because if there was no lightning, then they would play in the rain. It can be pouring down rain with no lightning, and they would play. Just like snow games, snowy. If it snows, they'll play. Plus, another reason why I didn't watch this game is because I thought the Eagles would win easily by like 17 points. But no! They didn't win by 17 points. They only won by 4 points. It was turns out to be a close game. Okay, then. We'll see how the Cowboys do without Micah Parsons and without Mike McCarthy. I don't think is Mike McCarthy a coach at a different team? I don't think so. McCarthy is a quarterback. J.J. McCarthy. We'll see how he does for the Minnesota Vikings. They'll be playing on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears, I think. And I usually like watching Monday Night Football with Peyton and Eli on ESPN2 instead of the regular version with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I mean, I like them, but I like the Peyton and Eli's version more. It's more entertaining. All right. Yeah, people are saying, yeah, football is back. Yeah, football is back. We had to wait over 6 months. Well, you must be living under a rock. Have you heard of the UFL? Have you ever heard of the United Football League? I guess not. For me, I only had to wait 2.5 months for American football to come back. I guess a lot of people had to wait over 2.5 months. They probably had no idea what the UFL is. I'm just saying. Yeah, football's back after 6 months. No. Football's back after 2.5 months, technically. And I know the UFL isn't a big league, I get it, but if you like football in general, then you should check out the United Football League, but people don't want to. Okay then, well, that's your decision. But yeah, I'm not super excited that the NFL's back, because I'm not a huge fan of it. I mainly watch the primetime games if I want to. And, now that since TSN is my favorite sports channel, because I mainly watch the Canadian Sports Center instead of the American Sports Center. They have the rights to show the primetime NFL game, so sometimes I'll tune into the primetime game while I wait for the TSN Sports Center show to come on with Jay Onrait. Jay Onrait is the Canadian version of Scott Van Pelt. Yeah, I like both of them. They do the shows basically by themselves, and they'll have special guests on throughout the show. So yeah. So I watched the Sports Center show with Scott Van Pelt, and yeah, it was mostly a football show, and I understand why, because the NFL is back. They barely talked about the U.S. Open tennis. They barely talked about what's going on in Major League Baseball. I mean, they got to talk about that too, because that's important. I know, I get it. NFL's back. That just shows you NFL's number one in America. It is. It's not even close. I get it. It's the biggest league. I understand. I get it. But the TSN Sports Center, they don't do that. Maybe they will on Sundays. But if it's like on a regular Tuesday or Wednesday when there's no NFL games, they wouldn't be talking much about the NFL. Because they want to talk about other stuff. Hockey is Canada's favorite sport. It is. So they talk a lot of hockey. The American version, they don't talk much about hockey. I'm talking about during the season. Okay? So that's why I like the Canadian version more, is because they talk about more sports instead of just football up the ass. American football, okay? Plus, I love the CFL. They talk about the CFL, where the American version, they never talk about it, which I get it, you know. So, yeah. I was waiting for Scott Van Pelt to show the U.S. Open highlights, and he did, but it wasn't long. They didn't get to talk about it. They just showed what happened, and that was it. It is what it is. And I get it. It's so late at night. I guess they don't want to have, like, Patrick McEnroe come on the show at 1:30 a.m. So, yeah. Okay, now this episode, I'm going to pause this recording because Jay Onrait's coming on, so I'll be back when he goes to commercial. Good thing I can pause the recording. So, yeah. It's actually after 3 a.m., me talking. I know. So, Eagles won, Super Bowl champions win. All right. And you know what? I'm going to give you... I didn't get to do this in the last episode, which I'm kind of glad I didn't, because that last episode was over 2 hours. I'm going to give you my predictions on which teams will win the division and what is my playoff predictions, conference championship games, and the Super Bowl, all that stuff, because that's what a lot of people do. So I figured I will give you my predictions. All right. Let's do with the National Football Conference, NFC East. Well, the Eagles, yeah, they did win their first game, and I think they're going to win the NFC East pretty easily. All right. I'm not going to predict how many games they'll win and lose. I'm just going to go by order. The team that wins the division, second place team, third place team, and fourth place team. Second place team, I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders. Third place, it's either Cowboys or Giants. Go with the Giants, which means the Cowboys will come in last. NFC, we'll do NFC North. All right. The team winning the North, I heard that this will be a pretty good division. Chicago Bears might get better. People are saying the Green Bay Packers will win this division now that they have Micah Parsons. The Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, we'll see how they do. I'm going to go with the... You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers. I have them winning the NFC North. Yeah, my surprise pick. Got to pick some surprises, right? Second place, I'll go with the Detroit Lions. Third place, I'll go with Minnesota Vikings. And fourth, Chicago Bears. NFC South, this might be the worst division in the league. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win that division again. They have Baker Mayfield. He's the best quarterback in that division. Second place, I'll go with the Atlanta Falcons. Third place, I'll go with the Carolina Panthers, which means, I hate to say this, the closest team that I live, the New Orleans Saints. Fourth place. Yeah. We'll see how Bryce Young does in Carolina. I think he's still with the Panthers, right? So, Michael Penix Jr., will he be the starting quarterback for the Falcons? We shall see. NFC West. I think this division will be interesting too. I think I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers, home of Super Bowl 60. Second place, I'll go with the Seattle Seahawks. Third place, I'll go with the LA Rams. The Matthew Stafford story. See how that goes. And I got the Arizona Cardinals in fourth. To the AFC East, I have the Buffalo Bills easily winning that division. I have the New England Patriots coming in second. Yeah, that's my surprise. Miami Dolphins third, and of course, how about those Jets, Jets coming in last. AFC North, I have the Baltimore Ravens in first. They're going to be a great team. Cincinnati Bengals, I'll go with them as second. Third place, Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns. Fourth place. AFC South, I guess I'll go with the Houston Texans. This might be the worst division in the AFC, probably. Or no, maybe the AFC East might be the worst. Buffalo Bills, they've been dominating that division. Second place, I'll go with the Indianapolis Colts, I guess. Third place. I guess I'll go with the Tennessee Titans in the fourth place. The Jaguars, Jacksonville. That team's never any good. Except they had like one good season in their whole franchise. AFC West. I have to say, Kansas City Chiefs. Second place, I'll go with the Denver Broncos with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Third place, I'll go with the LA Chargers. And fourth place, the Vegas Raiders. All right, so I'm going to give you my conference championship predictions and my Super Bowl predictions. Which teams do I have? Let's do NFC Championship. Let's see, the two teams that I have going are... I got to think about this for a second. Well, I know one team. I already know the team that will be hosting. But who is the visiting team? Which team will be the visiting team to go to the Super Bowl? Okay, I made my decision. NFC Championship, I have the Detroit Lions at the Philadelphia Eagles. And I have the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. AFC Championship. Will the Kansas City Chiefs be in another one? They've been in it since what? 2019? So this will be, if they're going to be in it again in 2026, this will be their 8th consecutive appearance. Now, I'm sure a lot of non-Chiefs fans don't want to see this team in it. Something tells me that they will be in it. If they are in it, will they be hosting it? See, last year's was Chiefs at Ravens. We could get a rematch for that. You know what? I'm going to go with the two most loved teams in the AFC. Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. I have that as my AFC championship, which means one of those teams would have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That would have to be the Buffalo Bills, probably. Can they finally beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs? They would beat them in the regular season, but not in the playoffs. I know. So I have a Ravens-Bills AFC Championship game. And listen, these two teams will face each other on Sunday Night Football, which I will watch, by the way. Okay. If this is the AFC Championship, this is obviously a must-watch game. The team that I have going to the Super Bowl to face the Philadelphia Eagles is the Buffalo Bills. I do have the Buffalo Bills finally going back to the Super Bowl. Now, Super Bowl 60. Philadelphia Eagles against the Buffalo Bills in San Francisco. Both teams have to fly across the country. Super Bowl 60, huh? If this is a Super Bowl, I have to cheer for the Buffalo Bills. My father is a fan of that team because he grew up in Buffalo, New York. I think this will be a pretty good game. But I'm going to have to go with those fly Eagles fly again, man. I'm going with the Eagles to go back-to-back Super Bowl. Not only appearances and championships, I have them winning the Super Bowl again. Yeah. I have them winning it again. And, yeah, we shall see. We shall see. It'll be interesting, of course. Let me just say this here. If the Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl, I won't be surprised. If they win the Super Bowl, I also won't be surprised. So, who knows? We might go from one dynasty to another. Maybe the Eagles will win it again, and that's what I have. I have the Eagles winning it again. So there you have it. NFL season predictions. Some people have Ravens versus Eagles. That's the battle of the birds. Yeah, the bird is the word. Some people have Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl. And yeah, out of all the people I heard, most of them picked Buffalo to win. So let me just say this. Buffalo Bills, they better win the Super Bowl now. After these people that I heard that said that they're going to win it. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, there's more to talk about, but luckily these topics won't take too long to talk about. More let's see here. Wait. Let's stay in the NFL real quick. Week 1. So I will watch the Sunday night game. There's a game in Brazil tonight. I might watch that just to see what it looks like. Oh, that game is on YouTube. YouTube. Not YouTube TV, right? Just YouTube. Regular YouTube. Kind of like when MLB used to have the game of the week live on YouTube for free. Is this legit? On NFL's YouTube channel? Holy crap. Well, perfect. I mean, I have the YouTube app on my TV and, of course, computer and phone. All right. Chiefs versus Chargers. That ought to be interesting. Let me just say this. The AFC West has some great coaches. Of course, you got Andy Reid for the Chiefs. You got Sean Payton for the Broncos. You got Jim Harbaugh for the Chargers. And Pete Carroll for the Raiders. 4 well-known coaches in that division. So Sunday, I'm not really going to be watching any games during the afternoon because it's during the men's U.S. Open final. Guess we'll see how the Saints will do. The Aints, you know. The biggest story to me is Aaron Rodgers. How will he do? How will Aaron Rodgers do at the age of 41, I think? Oh my gosh, they did this on purpose. He's going to be facing his now former team, the Jets. Really? Really? Okay. Well, listen, I hope he does well. I understand why a lot of people don't really like him. But when he was with the Jets, people are saying that they're going to be a great team. And I just knew that they weren't going to be a great team when they had him. Because that division's not easy. And now that he's with the Steelers, that's also not going to be an easy division, you know? I hope he does well. If he's in the Super Bowl, I'm probably going to cheer for him. Depends on which team they face. All right. And most likely this will be his final season. Okay. So I normally don't watch games on Fox and CBS. That's just me. But there's also NFL RedZone, which I will talk about that next. So I heard that NFL RedZone is no longer commercial free because ESPN bought NFL RedZone. So that means NFL RedZone is now on the ESPN app, the new streaming app. Well, I heard that a lot of people are not happy about that now that the NFL RedZone is no longer commercial free. I used to watch that. I don't know when's the last time I tuned into that channel. I don't tune into it as much as MLB Strike Zone. It's like MLB Strike Zone. Now, Strike Zone is still commercial free, so that's good. But I don't know. That's a shame. That is a shame. No longer commercial free after all these years. But I remember when I used to watch it quite a bit, it was pretty good, man. Going from one game to another, bouncing back and forth. MLB Strike Zone does the same thing, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. So I guess I technically do have NFL RedZone because I have this app on my Amazon Fire Stick. It's one of those illegal apps that has a whole bunch of stuff on it. So I guess I'll tune in to see if that channel works. All right, more football talk. Saturday, CFL and college football. Let's go into the CFL. We also got a game tonight. Yeah, for once, We have a CFL game and an NFL game tonight. Now, normally, this is unusual, a Friday night NFL game. Yeah, it's unusual. They had a game in Brazil last year as well. Okay, oops, I typed in CFL schedule 2024. Okay, the game tonight is the BC Lions against the Ottawa Red Blacks. These two teams are not going to make the playoffs, I don't think, so I might actually miss that game. I usually try to watch every single game, but now that we're kind of getting closer, we're more than halfway, the season's more than halfway over. It's all about, the closer the playoffs come, the more you look at these games as, okay, playoff contenders. These two teams, I don't see these two teams making the playoffs, so that's why I'm probably going to miss that game. I don't know, maybe I'll put on both CFL and NFL instead of the U.S. Open second men's semifinal, because I think we're all expecting Jannik Sinner to win that match easily. But I don't know. Or maybe I'll put all three on at the same time. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I'll give you my predictions. I will go with the BC Lions to win that game. We have a triple header on Saturday. Yeah, so now that NFL season's here, no more Thursday night, no more Sunday night CFL games because they obviously don't want to compete, but they have no choice. They got to compete with Friday night football. But there's only a few Friday night NFL games now. Well, back then, there was 0. So, but we have a triple header. First game I will watch because it has my favorite team hosting the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's a must-win for the Alouettes. It's a must-win. They have to win that game. They can't lose, 5 in a row? Another home loss? They got to win that game. So I will watch that game. It's at noon. And after that game, I can watch some of the U.S. Open women's final. Yeah, so good thing they're not on at the same time. I'm going to go with the Alouettes. Yep, I am going with the Alouettes. They had a bye last week. They have to win. I got to pick them. All right? But might be a close game. Second game is called the Banjo Bowl. I don't know why they call it the Banjo Bowl, but it features both the Saskatchewan Roughriders against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Yes, they got to play against each other again. Yep. Oh, what the heck? Sorry, guys. Yeah, last week I watched their game. It was a great game. Now it's really a must-win for the Blue Bombers. And they are hosting it, and I think they'll win. I think they'll win this game. The Banjo Bowl. Yeah, the Banjo Bowl is always the week after Labor Day weekend. So it's kind of weird that these two teams are facing each other back-to-back weeks. Okay, and then the night game is the Calgary Stampeders against the Edmonton Elks. I am going to miss this game because, like I said earlier, got people coming over during the evening. This game, the Elks are not going to make the playoffs. Although they're going to have another rematch. It's another rematch from last week, so maybe somehow the Stampeders will take them lightly. Maybe the Elks will pull off the upset. I don't see that happening. I got the Stamps winning it again. The Stampeders are the second best team behind the Rough Riders. And it's funny because the Rough Riders, they have 2 losses, and they're both from the Stampeders. That's interesting. That's probably going to be the West Final. Rough Riders, Stampeders. The winner of that game might win the Grey Cup. I don't know. We'll see. So there you go. Those are my CFL predictions. Now, where is my phone? Here it is. College football week 2. I mentioned earlier that week 2 is usually full of blowout games, so that means I'm not going to be watching much anyways. Plus, I got people coming over this weekend. The only big game is really the Oklahoma-Michigan game. Excuse me. Okay, you know what? I forgot to mention this. Let's go through the rankings. Let's go through the top 25. Since I wasn't able to do this in the last episode. Let's start off with number 25, Utah. 24, Texas Tech. 23, Indiana. 22, Tennessee. 21, Alabama. That's the biggest story. They dropped. 20, Ole Miss. 19, Texas A&M. 18, Oklahoma. 17, SMU. 16, Iowa State. 15, Michigan. 14, Florida State. I wasn't expecting them to be that high in the rankings, but they are. Remember, they only won 2 games last season. It's crazy. It's a different season. Florida, 13. 12, Arizona State. 11, Illinois. 10, South Carolina. 9, Notre Dame. 8, Clemson. 7, Texas. 6, Oregon. 5, Miami. 4, Georgia. 3, LSU. I live in South Louisiana, so that's big news for me. 2, Penn State, and number 1. Should have been number 1 at the beginning of the season anyways. The defending national champions, Ohio State. Alright. So, now let's go. Let's see if there's any other big games here. I mentioned LSU. They're going to be facing Louisiana Tech at 6:30. My brother, there's a chance he might go to that game because he's actually going to come see me this weekend. Yeah, I think I mentioned that they were supposed to come. My brothers they were supposed to come last weekend on Labor Day weekend, but they couldn't. So one of them or both of them are coming this weekend, mainly Sunday. I'll have to call him. Oh, I forgot. I was going to call him on Thursday night, but I didn't. I'll call him tonight. But yeah, a lot of games they're going to be blowouts anyways. We got Iowa against Iowa State. That's the game that 5Tayer's looking forward to. Oh, that's the big noon kickoff. That's weird because that's... Oh, okay, I forgot. Yeah, never mind. Okay. I noticed, I think those two teams, they always play on week 2. All right, the game is at Iowa State. So, I'm sure we'll see how that goes. Usually, I think Iowa, they usually have a great defense, meaning they don't really score that many points. So this could be low scoring. We got the CW network. I think, yeah, I did tune into some CW network games last year because Tom Brennan, the former Cincinnati Reds announcer, he's the voice of college football on the CW network. They mainly have ACC games, so this game is Baylor against SMU. SMU is now an ACC team, which is really strange. They should be in the Big 12. Baylor's in the Big 12. They're both in Texas. It's so weird that this division, you got no more Pac-12, but I heard that the Pac-12 is coming back next year. Why in the hell did they get rid of the Pac-12 to begin with? Because of the money, right? It's all because about the money. You got like Oregon in the Big 10. You got Stanford in the ACC. They have to fly across the country. What the heck? I don't understand that. All right. Let's see. I might put on a college game at the same time as the CFL game. Oh my gosh. Grambling is facing Ohio State. Grambling's in North Louisiana. Okay. It's funny, Grambling and the Georgia logo look the same. It's the same G shape. Ooh, this is interesting. Oklahoma State against Oregon. I think Oklahoma State, they still have head coach Mike Gundy, who's well known for his famous rant in 2007. He would say, "Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40." So now he's what? He's now 58? Because that was 18 years ago. Oh, we do have it. Yeah, we have an all SEC game at 2:30 on ABC. Ole Miss against Kentucky. Who's going to be the voice of that game? Joe Tessitore or Sean McDonough? Because the early ABC game is San Jose State at Texas. That's going to be a blowout. It's weird that that's the ABC game. South Florida's taking on Florida. That game might not be as bad, may not be as huge of a blowout than, like, I expect Texas to crush San Jose State. South Florida could surprise us. That game's on the SEC network. Arizona State against Mississippi State. Wait a minute. That game's on ESPN2? Why is that not an ABC game? That's a SEC team. Mississippi State. That's an SEC team hosting against number 12 Arizona State. Why is that not on ABC? Instead, you have San Jose State against Texas? Really? Okay, that should be an ABC game. What? Well, I don't know what they were thinking. What the heck? Like, I know some of these games can be bowl games. Then, of course, Michigan and Oklahoma. Alabama's going to be facing UL Monroe, another team in North Louisiana, and that's it. In terms of the top 25, so yeah, there's not many big college games in week 2, which I'm kind of glad there isn't, because like I said, I have people coming over on that Saturday, so I'm not going to miss much week 2 of college football. Usually week 2 is full of blowouts anyways. Got a lot of football, though, this weekend. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, mainly. Okay. Gosh, this episode is going to be 2 hours after all. And I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm trying to, give you my best talk. Even though not many people are listening to these long episodes. I understand, because 2 hours, that takes quite a bit of your time. I understand that. But hey, from time to time, I'll do some shorts, KSN updates, whenever I want to. Some of those got quite a bit of views. Okay. Some unfortunate news in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's season has come to an end. Yeah, that's unfortunate. The biggest star right now in the WNBA out for the rest of the season. I don't watch the NBA. I remember watching her when she was in Iowa. I don't know if you have 5-tear. Do you remember Caitlin Clark when she was in Iowa playing in the national championship game a couple of years ago? I think it was, or it might have been last year or the year before. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really watch the WNBA. I mean, the only time I really watch it is whenever TSN or ESPN shows highlights. That's really the only time I'll watch it. I'm just not a big basketball fan in general. So, yeah, to be honest, I almost rather watch the Women's Hockey League. Yeah, there's a women's hockey league, and TSN, they would usually show highlights of that league, and I'm like, wow, these women players are really good. Hey, the women's basketball players are good too, but I don't know. But yeah, it's a shame. The biggest star is out for the rest of the season. Now to the MLB. I usually save this for last because I'm going to check the standings in just a bit. I forgot to mention this from a week ago. Major League Baseball umpire Phil Cuzzi made history by becoming the first MLB umpire active at the age of 70. Yes, this man turned 70 about a week ago. And he actually was the home plate umpire on his birthday. Wow, what a way to celebrate your 70th birthday. The home plate umpire. He was at the Arizona Diamondbacks against the LA Dodgers game. And I didn't watch that game, but I watched the highlights. I did. Only because of him. Only because of Phil Cuzzi. The Diamondbacks, they won that game 3-0. Phil Cuzzi still umpiring. It's amazing, and I think he's pretty good at it for his age. I think the second oldest umpire, or second and third oldest umpires who just retired. I remember Larry Vanover. He retired last year at the age of 68 or 69. A couple years ago, Joe West and Jerry Davis, two well-known old school umpires, they retired. Jerry Davis has a website where you can buy umpire attire, umpire uniforms, umpire equipments. Not just that, other officiating equipment officials, football official uniforms, basketball official uniforms. There's a lot. You know what? I actually dressed up as an umpire for Halloween. I might do that again this year because every year, me and my parents, we have this big Halloween party, and usually the World Series would happen around Halloween. The last week of October, early November, it's going to happen again during the Halloween party. Game 2, Saturday night, so maybe I will dress up as an umpire. I think I really want to do that. I've done that twice. In 2020 with the COVID year because, the umpires were wearing the masks, and I had my mask on too. And then I did it again in 2022 with a friend. I was the home plate umpire, even though I didn't wear the chest protector, but I had the ball bags on the sides, and my friend was the base umpire. So we might do that again this year. I'll have to talk to him about it. He is going to come over this weekend, so that'd be kind of funny if we both dress up as umpires. We can do better in the World Series. Yeah, I got it. Congratulations to Phil Cuzzi. Making history. First umpire at the age of 70, man. I don't know if this will be his last season or not. If it is, I think he should be at the World Series. And I know they usually pick the best umpires to be at the World Series. That's usually how that works. But if an umpire is retiring, ending his career, I think every umpire should end his career at the World Series. I mean, that would be cool. Even if, last year Angel Hernandez retired. I know, the most hated umpire in history. To be honest, I would have liked to see Angel umpire last year's World Series. If he did, he would have to umpire Game 1, not Game 7 or Game 6. He would have to umpire Game 1. All right, Angel. You want to be at the World Series? Fine. But you gotta umpire Game 1 so you can get your ass out of there. And it turns out last year's World Series Game 1 was the best game. Yeah. Maybe I'll I'll act like Angel. I'm gonna throw everyone out at the Halloween party. Yup. Oh no. Even though he's the most hated umpire, I'm actually gonna miss him. Cause I know his recent years he was terrible, but he's kind of entertaining when he's that bad. I know. He's like a clown. He looks like a clown, you know. I call him the clown umpire. Play that circus music. Now he can be... Imagine him being like a WWE official. But yeah, Angel Hernandez is no longer an umpire. So, who is the most hated umpire right now? It might be... Listen, even though I don't watch the MLB much, but I remember these umpires from over 5 to 10 years ago. Some of these umpires are still active from 10 years ago. I get to know... When I first started watching the MLB, one of my first focuses was on the umpires. And it's sort of like that with the other sports. Football, I kind of focus on the officials. The MLB umpires, I think they're more well known than any other officials in sports. Yeah. Like, I remember their names. I remember what number they wear on their sleeve. Isn't that weird? Yeah. What if I become an umpire? Actually, that is kind of something that I would like to get into, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not quite ready for that yet. I know whenever you want to pursue something, you got to be ready for it. You don't want to just show up and not feel like you're ready. You gotta have that right mentality, you know? So, yeah, now we have a female umpire. So, yeah, all right, guys. Let's check on the standings here. It's going to be another 2-hour episode. I apologize, guys. I apologize. I hadn't thought this would be this long, but if you listen to this whole thing... Thank you very much. Standings, quick update here. I don't think not much has changed over the last couple of days. All right, American League East, Blue Jays, Toronto, still in first place. Both the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox are right behind them, though. Well, they're neck and neck. Yankees and Red Sox are neck and neck. They're about 3 games behind the Blue Jays. American League Central, the Detroit Tigers are still in first place. Yep, they're most likely going to win that division. American League West, this is good news for me. The Houston Astros are in first place. They had a series against the Yankees. Yeah, that was interesting too. That was a big series. They might meet again in the postseason. I can see that happening. Seattle Mariners are 3.5 games behind. They might sneak in the playoffs. Texas Rangers are right behind them, though. To the National League, Philadelphia Phillies are still in first place. The New York Mets are 6 games behind. The National League Central, Milwaukee Brewers still have the most wins, 86. Chicago Cubs, they got 80 wins now, 5.5 games behind. And in the National League West, the LA Dodgers are in first place with 78 wins, followed by the San Diego Padres, 2 games behind. The Colorado Rockies have officially lost over 100 games. Will they still break the record for the most losses from last year's Chicago's White Sox? The White Sox are 53-88. Somehow the White Sox, they don't have that little E next to their logo. The little E next to their logo means that they have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. All right, guys. Another big weekend in sports now that we got both college football and the NFL. Don't forget about CFL. I have to keep watching that because my number one favorite league, a lot of football. I'm probably going to become a football junkie, mainly on Saturdays. College football, ABC, and CFL. I'm sorry this was a long episode, but I know it is what it is. But my time is up. Your time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. John Cena. Alright guys, I might be back on Monday. If not, then Tuesday. Maybe I'll wait until after the Monday night game. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to Keith Sports News.